Yes, I can start recording.
Thank you. Amy, repeat that again.
Communicate effectively with their clients for pre-approval so we can get their pre-approvals done as soon as possible.
Correct. Cool. Is that, do you think, and again, I think that's great. And I think that they expect, but do they already expect that? Right? I don't know. I think most do, but what would be like one example that would set you apart from everybody else that says, hey, I'm a great communicator, we'll follow up, we'll do this and that. I mean, like one thing that you could sort of highlight that would be different to them or really stand out. What do you think?
Well, just better communication. I think that I always hear that, people don't like to use loan officers who don't get back with them right away or keep them up to date.
Yep. Okay. So a couple things. One thing I know you do. So two things I think you could highlight. Number one, you do Thursday loan status updates, right? Or weekly loan status updates, I believe, Amy.
Yep, I do Thursdays.
Okay, so a consistent written update to listing agent, selling agent, and customer every week, without fail, it gets done every week. And so, I mean, you'd be surprised how many lenders don't do that. So that's something you could do. And then also too, something that we do on our team is we do a Friday referral update. So those are leads or referrals that our referral partners send to us that have not yet gone under contract. Because if they're under contract, they're getting updates every from our team every Tuesday, from your team, from Amy, from you every Thursday. But what about the referrals, right? Have you ever gotten calls from your agent saying, hey, so and so, what's going on with Sally Jones? Like, have you talked to them? Are they pre-approved? How are they looking? So what we do is we proactively send out a report Brian sends it out every Friday with a list of the referrals, the prospects, and the most recent activity and the status. So they know every Friday what's going on with the referrals. Are they hot? Are they cold? Are they not calling us back? It's it's pretty good. So that's something you guys could employ, and it's a great thing because when they're under contract, usually they know what's going on, but a lot of times prior to that, that's when things get lost. So that's good. April, you're next.
Mine I had was educating their clients on the process, which will save them time in the long run on answering lender questions and so forth. I.e., example, Smart Start.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yep. That's a good one. That's an obvious one for sure. But some lenders don't do it, right?
Right.
Let's
I was going to
see.
say something else.
Yeah.
That I've been getting feedback on that they enjoy is when we attend our closings. They said they hardly ever see lenders there, and I've heard that on numerous occasions, not only from the agents but also from the attorneys. So it helps us stand out, and I've gotten a couple, several referrals just from that, following it through to the end.
That's a great point. And we're lucky in Georgia because I think Tennessee is a little different. Some states don't close together, right? Buyers and sellers. I think every state does it a little bit differently. We're lucky in Georgia because, we're all together around the table: buyer, seller, closing attorney, agents. So it's a great point. We go to as many as we can. So that's a good one, April, for sure. Callahan, you calling on realtors?
Not yet, but I can tell you.
Let's hear
my point of.
Yeah, let's hear it.
From my point of view, listening to these guys talk is simplifying numbers for realtors. Like a lot of times they just don't understand all that goes into the fine details of every single number and what means what. So being able to simplify that through mortgage scale is really effective.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
I want to co-sign on that. It seems like such a common question is, hey, how much are we going to need? Or really they just ask straight out, what are your closing costs? And it's like, oh gosh, because we don't need their judgment on whether or not we're high or low or whatever. So I turn that back around and I explain in such a way that they understand every client is unique. It's not about my costs. And I always throw out there, I'm like, $1,645, that's my cost. However, this particular client, we're going to need some help from the seller or whatever the case may be, because they don't have a ton of assets. I put it back on the client and then explain to them why we need what we need and how I would go about it, because we want their buy-in too. Let's be honest, they're a client at every single transaction, whether it's the first one we've done with them or the 10th or the 100th. If they start getting an opinion that we're expensive and it's costing their deals, or it's making them, quite frankly, have to work to negotiate for closing costs or seller credits or whatever your particular agents call them, creating that perception is going to hurt the relationship, whether we like it or not. So helping them understand, just like we would help the client understand, I think is critical in maintaining the relationship.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think, once you work with a realtor for some time, I think that you build a trust and that doesn't become an issue, right? But maybe in the beginning, right? So Dustin, what would you say? What can you do to add value to a new realtor or your current realtor?
Yeah, so actually I just earlier this week heard from probably my favorite realtor to work with, that they got 2 new team members today, or this week today. And during a team meeting, one of the other agents, who I don't work with quite as much, spoke up on my behalf, which was interesting, and said how, he's not just our preferred lender. I've had clients say to me, he's the truth. And I was like, okay. And she basically went on to talk about how she now refers to me, and the joke was made that I refer to myself as the GOAT, and Ed, you better be on mute if you're going to laugh out loud. Because I do refer to myself as the GOAT from time to time, mostly because I have a screaming goat, and that's what I mean. So when, they start to get that internally that, hey, clients love me, he's the truth, or he's the GOAT, or whatever, again, that's building the perspective with the agents. And it's not act as if this is my preferred lender, that this guy is good. When they believe it, their clients believe it. Their clients don't feel like they're being sold to use me. And when they connect me directly with the client, they know our pull-through is over 90%. So
Cool. Got it. Nice. Clarissa, or I'm sorry, Ed.
I put understand specialized mortgage products such as a renovation loan.
So the value, meaning you're an expert at that product. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So that way, perhaps for the agent, if they're showing clients a house that is almost good enough, but they wouldn't want it if they couldn't have a renovation loan.
Right.
Understanding that product. Now it's like, hey, you like this house, but you don't like these things. Well, I've got a guy who specializes in renovation loans that can do this and then turn this place into what you want it to be.
Got it. Okay, cool. And we're going to go rapid fire through these because we got 2 more segments. Clarissa.
I'm up. Okay. I would say engage in their marketing initiatives. So check out their website, follow them on their social media, connect on LinkedIn. And then if you've closed a deal with them, leave a review about your experience with working with that realtor. I think that provides a lot of value if they have a lender review on there. And they really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's really good. And do it without them asking you to do it, right? Just do it out of the blue.
Right.
And then, because I've done some Google reviews for them, I think they get notified like immediately once it posts. So that's a good one. Awesome. Yeah. Grant.
Outside of something that hasn't been said, I would say that for every offer that gets put in, I send a mortgage scale. So there really isn't any excuse for the client not to know their cash to close.
Got it.
And monthly payment for different types of offers with that specific property.
Right. So making sure borrowers know total cash required to close.
Yeah, and then I would also require that they text me that listing before they even place an offer, or I won't send the pre-approval letter.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Very cool. Jesse.
I don't think enough realtors understand the financing side, period.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing a deal with this person, they're your business partner, but you're almost speaking two different languages. So just how we bring in a client for a smart start, if you can bring in realtors for a smart start and educate them on the financing piece, then you guys can talk. But until they understand everything about a deal and everything that can go wrong, you guys are on two different planes trying to play the same game.
Right. Wow. Spoken like a seasoned pro. Thanks, Jesse.
Coming from a former realtor.
Well, we should listen to you then. All right. Very cool. Awesome. John, I'm just going to pick maybe one or two more and then we'll go to the next one. John.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of stuff, and I know some people have touched on lead conversion, but I think there's a touchdown opportunity when you're talking to a realtor, especially maybe a realtor that's referring more than one lender, with you included, is the idea of the state of the market that we're in and the fact that none of us can really afford to let a deal get away, and what you do that differentiates you to convert more leads, right? So that involves, getting all their information, having an in-person smart start, asking good questions, finding out what their objections are, right? Are they on the fence? Are they thinking about waiting until rates come down? Are they considering the other impacts of the market and having a way to guide the conversation in the direction of them leaving that meeting with the perception that it is a good time to buy, right? Then, like Grant mentioned, or I'm sorry, I think it was Jesse after Grant. When you actually get a realtor to sit down and do a smart start, even a mock smart start meeting with you, I think that's a big sell, right? Because you go through your equity building scenario, rent versus own, other pieces of conversation that shows them what lead conversion looks like when they send people to you.
Yep. Yep. Very good.
Hey,
All right,
Mike, can I pipe up here?
Yeah. We'll go to you, Rob, and then we'll go to the next question.
Okay.
Rob, what do you got? And then I'll
I'll just
start
say
from the bottom up.
For me, I tell them straight up, they have an unprecedented level of accessibility to me. Like I like to say, I can't always be on, but I try to be on as much as I can. On top of that, we instill confidence in their clients through educating them, and that just leads to less feet dragging, which makes a smoother overall process. And at the end of the day, I'm a true partner. What that means to me is that, this is a partnership. If we're working together, like if you're out there grinding on weekends, I'll be out there grinding on weekends with you. And kind of piggyback on what Jesse said, what I tell realtors all the time is I don't understand 100% your side of the business. And for that reason, like, I don't think you know what I do. And like recently I had a agent I work with, and she has a flip that she did, and she split it into two parcels, and she's trying to sling the back lot in addition to the house. And I'm like, well, that's just not as easy as doing that and combining together. And so like I bring in realtors, like Jesse says, for smart starts. Like, let me show you what I do so you can better understand it, because it'll make you better at your job. And at the same time, like, if with your job, help me understand it so I can be better at mine. So like, I'll go to them, like I'll go with them to these realtor podcasts and stuff. And so I just kind of be all in. It's about really being a true partner instead of like, hey, just refer me and I do your loans. So at the end of the day, if we also understand each other's sides of the business, we'll both be better at it and we'll make more money at the end of the day. Because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, no, it's good. Awesome. I'll start from the bottom. We'll go up next time. We'll make sure everybody gets a chance. So there's some good ones for sure. So next thing, okay, so write this down. Number 2, how can I approach new realtors? Simple. How can I approach new realtors? These are basically realtors on your prospect list. Who are you going after? Because I think, I'm guilty of, I work with a ton of realtors, but one thing is there's a fact. You will lose realtors, right? Realtors come and go. I look at realtors, sometimes I'm like, gosh, I used to work with that realtor. I don't anymore. I used to work with that realtor. I don't anymore. Things happen, life happens, things change, and realtors will come and go. So the point is, don't get too comfortable, because as soon as you get comfortable, that's when, things start slipping, referrals start decreasing. So you always have to be prospecting and bringing in new realtors. And I think I've gotten a little bit comfortable over the last year, 6 months maybe, and realized that, hey, there needs to be new, fresh blood on my board. That's the bottom line. So how can I approach new realtors? Santos, so what's your plan, or what's the idea for you to approach new realtors? Santos, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm thinking about the question here. It's a new one. I think what I like to do is just research and identify potential realtors. And I do that software like MMI, taking and looking at the geographical area and looking at my competitive LOs and finding the realtors that are producing and reaching out to them and ask them the questions. You know, what are their most
Okay.
challenges? What does it look, make that
Right.
introduction.
So just out of curiosity, when you're on MMI, are you looking for whales? Are you looking for people that are, rookies? Are you looking for people that have been in the business 2 years, 3? I mean, what do you know?
My first, so if I'm looking and someone's got 6 or 7 deals with a client, I know that's their strong partner and there's a strong partnership there. But if I'm on several different LOs, so I kind of go with like the 1s, the 2s, and I like being in a specific area so I can really find out and determine what realtors are using a variety of different LOs.
Right.
A lot of the seasoned agents are definitely using more of the same referral partners, but I have found in this city of Atlanta that there's so many realtors out there that don't take control of the process, and they're just using whoever the buyer brings in, or
Okay.
what LO's calling them that day, or
I
don't feel like they have a system of
Yep. Okay. So
who
MMI,
they're
try to
referring
find.
business to.
Got it. So MMI, try to find realtors that don't have strong relationships with 1 or 2 LOs. They're just all
that are
over the map.
working.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That are effectively,
Got it.
full-time working.
Cool. Okay. Natalie, how can you approach new realtors? What's the strategy? What's the idea?
Hi. I usually like do a class of some sort or sponsor lunch in a class that's going on, because most of the newer agents or not seasoned out producing strongly agents are in these classes. So I will get in front of them and be able to talk to a class to introduce myself and talk about customer service and communication, and about building a network of partners that they can really trust and have their back. And then from there, I follow up with the agents that were in that class to kind of pick, dive deeper into their business and how I can help them build their business and guide them as far as, being an education to them and to their clients.
Okay. So education piece. Got it. And so building prospects through classes, trying to find some people through the education. Got it. Okay. McCain, what do you got?
I think for me, I kind of got this from Shayla Gifford, but it's following them on social media and then every now and then liking their Instagram stories.
Yep.
It goes straight to their direct messages. So then every now and then throwing it like, oh, that's awesome. And then it leads into, hey, I see what you're doing on Instagram. I love this. I want to learn more about your business. Will you go to coffee with me for an hour so I can hear about how you're doing this?
Has that
you
worked?
just appeal to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a good strategy. Have you done it? Have you tried it? Has it worked?
Yeah, it's worked. I've got a couple meetings, and then once you get in the meeting, it's all just, hey, you can sell Smart Start so easily. Like, let me, I know these people are 6 to 12 months out. Let me talk to them. Like, no obligation. Let me meet with them and try to speed up their timeline, or just educate them and consult them on their home buying timeline, and maybe speed that up for you.
Got it. Cool. I like it. Awesome. Who we not picked up? Jesse, I'm going back to you.
Yeah. Realtor to realtor referrals on behalf of you. So like if you have your 5 people that are just team Jesse and they love what you do, and you ask them, hey, who are 2 or your 3 of your really good friends in the business that you'd love to work with? And that way they bridge that introduction. So when I first started here, before I was at this company, but I cold called every Compass realtor in Nashville. There's like 500 of them. And I got, a handful. I had some results, but when I'd be at a party and someone would go, oh, that's Jesse. And I'd be like, and then I'd have a conversation with them. And then 5 minutes in, I go, yeah, by the way, I left you a voicemail last week. And they're like, oh, that was you. I would have never called you back. That little bit of credibility that another realtor that works with you can give to you is like the world.
So you're asking them specifically, hey, look, who do you know that you can introduce me to that you feel like we'd be a good fit to work together?
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that formal. I approach it like I'm going to have a beer. Like, hey, who do you love to work with in the business? And they know you're looking for the top ones, not the bottom feeders.
Right.
So who are your top favorite 3 people to work with? Oh, Bill Jones, Bob Murray, and Steve Eiserman. Like, oh, hey, would you mind introducing, or maybe we can get dinner together?
Got it.
And then just bridge it. You need that little bit, and then you can run with it.
Oh yeah, it's a warm introduction.
Yeah.
It's going to beat a cold call every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Cool. Love it. Ed, you have your hand up?
Yeah, your social media one made me think of this. I think it was Winston Churchill. He said something like, never let a good crisis go to waste. So following a realtor that I grew up with on social media, part of the App Properties, I think it was the Lee Marcus group, which is a pretty big group in Chicago. And there was like this whole scandal that Sam's nodding his head, this whole scandal that happened, and never let a good crisis go to waste. So I dug into it, kind of found out what happened. And I guess the main guy of the group, Lee Marcus, made a comment that was not received well. Had a bunch of team members leave and resign after that. And so, I just reached out to her, started chatting, was, sympathetic, and developed a relationship that way. So never let a good crisis go to waste.
Interesting. That's a good one. I like it. Very good. Who else? Somebody else had their hand up, I thought. Who else has got another good approach?
Hi, it's Rob. One thing I'm looking at it right now is, again, look in your neighborhood. Try to get in with the people in your neighborhood. I get on Zillow at least once a week, usually 3 times a week, and I look at what new listings in the past 24 hours.
Yep.
And so I can tell you right now, nothing new in my neighborhood, but across the avenue, like a place called The Nation, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the past 24 hours. Like Angela Pigney Deal's one of them. She's a Wilson Group agent that I've been looking for a reason to reach out to. This is my window now. This is my opportunity. So that's a great reason to reach out to her, because I'm reaching out to her something, not just cold calling in.
So what does that sound like when you reach out? Let's hear
it. More or less call and say, hey, my name's Rob Shell. I'm a lender here in Sylvan Park. And then I'll just be like, hey, I tend to look at listings in my neighborhood, getting involved in my community. It's important to me. Saw your listing, great one. Like, how'd you get it is what I'll ask. Kind of pat him on the back for that. Say, this is a great listing. And then at the same time, I know this lady lives in the neighborhood because I see her walking her dog. And so I'll just work that. I mean, I'm terrible at doing role playing. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of better on the phone.
That's cool.
But it's just, it's not that hard of a conversation with me, because again, I came from kind of like a sweatshop industry where it was make 100 phone calls a day or you're fired. So it's me cold calling people is like second nature. So
right, good.
That's been incredibly helpful for me. But you also, like Santos says, using MMI, I'll get on that to reference them too, because I've figured out they're just super list heavy. They're probably not a good prospect for me. Because at the end of the day, if they just want to have listings, they don't get a ton of buyers. And I'm just not going to focus my energy on that. And that's something that it took me when I first started, I didn't do. But as I've gotten, more matured in this process, I pay really attention to are they trying to be list heavy, or are they actually working with buyers?
Right. No,
and then on top of that, just the referral interest. Who do you like work with my insurance lady? I get lunch with her at least once a month, and it's who do you like working with? who's fun? Who do you like? You know me really well. Who would I mesh with?
Right.
Stuff like that. And because at the end of the day, like it's going to make them look good too. And I picked up a great new realtor recently, and she told me straight up, I don't take realtor meetings with other like lenders. The only reason I'm meeting with you is because Rachel refers you.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No, that's great. That's awesome. Anybody else have a really good one? Not that these aren't.
New agents, who wrote your mortgage, or who would you call to write your mortgage? Because it will tell you a lot if they're immediately like, this is who would do it. Or, you know, if they have to think about it, just hesitating, that opens the door. Because I'll talk about how I've written a mortgage for almost every agent I work with, because they see how I interact with their clients, they see what I'm able to do, and they understand that, you know what, how do I say this appropriately? It's Friday morning. Anybody could write a mortgage. Anyone could go work at Rocket Mortgage. But if you want the best of every aspect of your mortgage, you're going to work with the GOAT, and just going with that, but really making it personal for them.
Yeah.
Not that it's not, because like we said earlier, every deal, we can't afford to lose a single deal, especially in this market. But you can take it to the next level and make it personal about them.
Right. Got it. No, it's good. Also, too, don't forget about the listing agents, right? So that's just been a favorite of mine over the years. Is, I mean, if you're under contract, you've got 3 to 4 weeks that you're going to work with that listing agent, and they will take your call for 30 days. I promise you. They're going to take your call, right? And if you make an impression, then you have an opportunity to pick up a new agent. And the great thing about MMI now is you can look them. I mean, get a contract. Who's the list agent? You should have already talked to him, maybe. You know, when the offer is being made, look them up on MMI, see what kind of production they're doing, who they're connected with, have an idea who you're working with before, right, the closing, right? So you can sort of, you know what you're dealing with, and set an impression over that 3 to 4 week period to where at closing they want to work with you, right? Maybe you're doing certain things their lenders aren't doing, right? So that's a big one. Parker, what do you got?
Let me unmute myself. Well, yeah, you kind of took my first part there on that last one. That's great. How do I approach new realtors? You know, I try to come from a value proposition, right? I try to find the missing link in what they're doing and what they don't have and how they're doing it and how I can fit into that. Had a really good Zoom Tuesday with a really heavy lead gen guy, and he was telling me, you know, this is how I do it. And he started setting all these things up. I said, okay, so what don't you have? And, you know, he started going on. And then so I asked him again, I said, no, what do you not have that I have that we can put together that would help you retain more clients and close more deals? And pretty much, you know, we came up with this whole educational class, different things like that, first time buyers, different things that, you know, Kelsey has put out there for us already that's done that we can just use and market to those people with.
Got it.
That's pretty much what I was
Right.
going to say.
Where's the gap? Where they need help? Try to fill the gap. Awesome. Before we move on to the next thing, Jesse, I'm going to pick on you again because you're the agent in the room or former agent. What is one thing that all the loan officers on this call should not say? What should we not do when we're trying to prospect realtors? The 1 or 2 things that does not work in your opinion. Shit can it, move to something else.
Don't sound like a loan officer.
Yeah.
Like, loan officers are boring.
That's right.
You know, like they're nerds. They're
Yep.
numbers people. And I'm not saying that offensively. I'm just saying, like, that's the nature of what we do. The nature of selling houses is you're fun and you're crazy and you're all over the place. Realtors are bad business people, right? Sometimes. I'm talking about like 80% of the time.
Sure.
So if you have to take all the knowledge that's in your brain, all the expertise, it's like being a rocket scientist, but you now need to go teach a course about science to kindergartners. You can't walk in there on the first day and just throw up everything you know on top of them. You got to walk them through each step of the process so that they're Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I think I can work with you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Valuable. All right. Last thing, write down. Sheet of paper. Third thing, what is stopping me from approaching new realtors? What gets in the way? What is stopping me from approaching new realtors? Volunteers? We've got about 5-6 minutes. Jesse, go ahead.
Lack of confidence in what you do. Like, again, I'm just starting with Brennan's team, so I'm an LOA now. But I previously, like, I was happy to go talk to realtors, but I was well aware that I had no clue what the hell I was doing in this business. And that lack of confidence, like, I don't want to take their deal because I know I'm going to screw it up. So you have to know your.
Hey, Brendan says you're getting leads left and right. So what do you, so what do you do? You're an LOA getting
Those are the
from
relationships I built already. But now I'm going back to them and saying, hey, screw what I just said in the last few months. Like, I'm with Brendan's team in Nashville. I'm confident that they have the best process, the best awareness, the best, like, knowledge of the business compared to anything I've seen as a realtor or as an LO. Yeah. And I'm confident that if you come in here and take a look at what we're doing, you're going to be like all over it. So it's just an easy, it's not like, hey, can we get, before it was like, I was more just making friends with people. So now I got a lot of friends in the business, but I haven't necessarily done business with them.
Got it. Right. So now you have more confidence. You see what Brendan and the guys do in Nashville.
And what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Love it. What gets in the way?
I just wanted to spin a little off of Jesse's, because even being a loan officer for a really long time, we go through the high and low struggles of confidence. And I mean, I'll raise my hand on that myself. And I just had yesterday an agent. So I mean, I think that you do need to scream from the mountaintops that you're the best and that you're the GOAT and that let me show you why. And I had just yesterday an agent that's been around for a very long time that I've been trying to work with for, a long time. And she finally threw me a bone. And just last night texted me going, oh my God, you're amazing. And the amount of details and educating to my client that you just did is incredible. I can't wait to continue to work with you more and more.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then you get that boost and then you get that confidence. You just have to hang on to that and ride that. And then she's also a big talker in the office. So then you get her talking. Sure. So score that deal and then use her as your referral source to all the other agents.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. And I second that. I've been in the business 28 years. Look, our head gets in the way, like right between the temples. That gets in the way. Your head, right? It's like, the mindset piece, right? It's just doing what you need to do. Set a plan and execute. It's really not that hard, but it's easy to get derailed, right? And you really need to, not saying you, but me, everybody, we all really need to just, put the blinders on and just do the small activity that leads to new meetings, new referrals that end up to be closings. Ed, what do you got?
So I'm pretty new. I think I've been in this industry about 15, 16 months. And for me, it's not going after like the unknown, because trying to develop new relationships, that's an unknown. And instead saying like, I love using metaphors. It's like, hey, I've got this little fishing spot here. And, like, I know that there's some little fish there, right? And maybe it's like, I'm going to go and try and catch those little fish. But it's the unknown of if I were to, walk around the bank of this metaphorical lake around a couple of turns to a spot that I don't know that's there, maybe that's the realtor relationship. And like, it's like, hey, that's the fishing spot, but I don't know what's there. And so instead, like, I see something that's in front of me. I've coined this term a time vampire as well, because it's probably low risk of me being able to close it. Very difficult situation, whether it be qualification or what have you, but trying to recognize those little fish in those areas, it's like, hey, I know that those are there, but that's not going to be an effective use of my time. If it leads to anything, it's just going to lead to one little fish. Like, I need to take the risk and go after the unknown and see what it leads to. What does it become?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just be careful what you ask for. I mean, I've seen people, like I had a guy in my office 10 years ago, 12 years ago. We went back on the street at the same time. His pond, he fished in credit repair, first time home buyer, garbage. And I'm talking garbage. And guess what? That's what he asked for, and that's what he got. And his pipeline was loaded with garbage, and it was rough. So just, again, for anybody that's on the call, that's, just be careful what you ask for, be careful what you tell people you specialize in. If you, especially that kind of, I'm not saying that you're referring to that, Ed, but I've seen that happen. And it's really hard to reinvent yourself after you're known as the credit repair guy or whatever. So just be real careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Throw some turds at Ed. He'll put some glitter on it, and it'll work out. That's
I mean,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Or how about train conductors? That's a good niche.
Yeah. There you go.
That's an inside joke with me and Ed. Ed is the train conductor specialist, guys. If you ever need an expert for train conductor income, Ed's your guy.
That's right.
You need to be on Brendan's Friday call. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. Anything else? What's getting in the way?
I just want to piggyback really quick on the credit repair guy, because I've said a couple of times, when I first started off, I used to pound open houses in an area of Nashville called Madison. And because I was constantly plugging a zero down program we had at our old company.
Yeah.
Michael Anthony, I don't know if you know, but guess what? Star's gone.
Yeah, I heard it was going away.
So
I
it's
figured,
just great little example right there of if you attach yourself to a product, you're only as good for as long as your product's around. And that product that I attached myself to, and again, I used to push product, it's gone. So if they had known me as the zero down, no PMI guy, I got nothing for them.
Right. And we did the same thing, right? Cool. You remember? I mean, that was a great little flash in the pan product. But if that's all you're known for, that's all you're going to get. So I'd be careful. But really, in conclusion, I think it was good. I would say in conclusion, find, in your office, I know like Nashville, you've got a good vibe going, and here in Atlanta, we've got a good vibe going. But accountability, like, put a plan together, put a prospect list together of who you're going to go after, and block time out, make the calls, and just do the activity that needs to be done to generate more meetings, right? We have a goal of 100 meetings in 2 weeks between our group here in Atlanta. So we'll get an update on those. It ends next Thursday. So face-to-face meetings, Zoom if they have to be, but preferable face-to-face meetings with new referral partners, financial planners, realtors, people that have our customers that we need. Make the calls. We have to do what other loan officers don't want to do and aren't doing, right? There's a ton of people falling out. It's a tough market, right? There's a ton of people falling out. There's a ton of people not doing anything. They're just, wallowing in misery. And it's super important to keep your mind fresh and, just positive, because I think Natalie, maybe you have mentioned it. If you plow through it, you make that call, get that appointment, it's a rush, it's a high, it's an endorphin high. It's like after, an hour workout, it feels really good, and you can keep riding that. On the other side of the coin, the bad stuff, that's contagious too. You can keep riding that into the gutter, right? So you've got to stay positive. You've got to keep that positive attitude, and activity and action will help with that, right? So anytime you're feeling a little bit down, just start making phone calls, call the referral partners that love you. Jesse had mentioned it. Natalie had mentioned it. Ask for an introduction. Say, look, I'm trying to, like to take on a couple more realtors this year in the next next 3 months. Who should I meet? Who do you like working with? Make those calls and set a goal, right? It's just going back to the basic tactics that will help us generate, what you do now is going to pay you money, pay you income in December, January. And for those that haven't been in the business that long, January, February are typically tough months, right? They're a little tougher. So what we're doing today in the next 30, 60 days is going to pay us in December, January, February. So, you know, I challenge you, put together a plan. I think, Benton, you'll send out the meeting notes. We've had some great ideas. Take some of these ideas, implement them, put a plan together. Simple plan, guys, right? Not hard. A few things, a few tactics, put a prospect list together, block out an hour a day to focus on setting appointments for new blood, new realtors, new financial planners, new people that can refer you business. So thanks for joining. Sam, any comments to close with? You've been pretty quiet today.
I mean, you didn't ask me, so I feel really hurt, Mike.
Well, you didn't have your hand up, man. I mean, come on.
Oh, I thought you were calling on everybody.
Sorry, I'm looking at the hand. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're fine. So Brent Kenyon and Jody Sink Mars. Jody is a Keller Williams agent in the Chicago metropolitan area. They've adopted a more rewards label, private label that they put into a school. I think they just closed their 11th deal off of it since January 1st.
Wow.
I think that because he came from a place of, let me show you how to do business together.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely an offer that she couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
And not only have they done 11 deals together on this product, but she's also becoming his lender. I'm happy to talk to you about it after. It really goes to every question that you asked about how do you go to a realtor? What do you do with a realtor? How do you break with a new realtor? I think it solves for all three, and it's so collaborative. And the beauty of it is that Mike could be like you and I working together to achieve a project, you know, to achieve a goal together. So much is accomplished by the working together. We're putting together a PowerPoint. I get to see how smart you are, Mike. So you're in a highly organic way, learning together, collaborating together. It's like a magical pathway with no pressure to get at all of their business, and you're generating business. For Jody to close 11 extra transactions in a year as a realtor, man, that is so meaningful. It's crazy. And it's actually really simple. Mike, I'd love to demo it for you if you think it's good and it's not a distraction.
Sure.
I think people could really win from it.
Awesome. Love it. Very cool. All right, everybody. So the homework, put a very simple plan together, strategies, tactics, and pick an accountability partner or get your office together and hold each other accountable. Just one, you know, it could be a once a week check-in, you know, preferably daily, right? When are we hitting the phones? Keep each other accountable, and you know, just keep the activity going. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mike.
You got it. Take care, man. See you.